Sorry, give me a second, give me a second. Yeah, that is Taylor Swift Anti-Hero. It's a new song, and I've got to say, what a banger. I just thought, how did she even come out with something like that? She goes, did you hear my covert narcissism disguised as altruism, like some kind of congressman, Taylor's oldest time? Makes me think quite a lot, actually, about what some doctors are like in terms of they're quite narcissistic, but they disguise it as altruism. Anyway, welcome to the video. I have not done a video in quite a while. We've had quite a few new followers. We're almost up to like 1,000 subs, which is really super cool. So obviously people are getting value from my silliness, my videos, and I don't know. I don't know. You tell me, why are you even subbing and watching this in the first place? I've got a bit of a different look today, don't I? I've got a bit of an Andrew Tate thing going on. So let's get rid of these. What do you guys think of these? I bought them because they look like the ones from Iron Man. And I like Iron Man. I think it's super cool. He's like Batman without any of the emo energy. He seems to be happy about being superhero and stuff. Anyway, let's get rid of that for the time being. My name is Dr. Lasker. I am a consultant radiologist, and welcome to Drive Time with Imran. And we are going to be answering another question that consistently comes up on my channel and on a personal basis. It is about private work. People always say to me, hey, Imran, is there a lot of private work in musculoskeletal radiology or radiology in general? And when someone asks you that kind of question, you immediately know as to what they're really trying to get to. What they really want to know, is there any money in what I do? And is there any money in what subspecialty that I do? Which is fine. I've got no issues with people asking me those kind of questions, because first off, I think it's a very good and important question to ask, because if you're not asking one of the most basic things that you expect from your job and how to maximize that, then I think you're missing a trick there. And I think I've spoken about this before. Yeah, fine. Money doesn't buy happiness, et cetera, et cetera. But it does make things a lot easier when you have to worry about certain things. So the motivation behind someone asking me about private work, I assume, is because they want to ask about whether there's money in what I do and is there money in musculoskeletal radiology. And in truth, the answer to that question is a little bit, we've got to take a few steps back, right? And you have to think to yourself, like, how much money do I really want? How much money do I really think I need? What kind of lifestyle do I want? And once you've got that idea in your head, you've got to start looking at the people around you, the people who are senior to you. What kind of life do they have? Do they drive a nice car? Do you know if their kids go to private school? Do they live in a nice house? And they may not tell you if you ask them, but you'll overhear them in conversations. They might drop something about the area that they live in and that kind of stuff. And those are the things that you want to be paying attention to if that's the kind of thing that's important to you, right? And I'm not one of these people that will go into something saying that, oh, it's all about following your passions and all that kind of thing. Find out what you're good at, and that will pay and give you money, because that's not true. Because you could get really good at running a mile or something, but even if you're the best at running a mile, you're still not going to make as much as a footballer. And the reason for that is the way to make money, as far as I know now, if you can make a difference to loads of people, even if it's a small difference, then you're more likely to make more money than someone who makes a large difference to one or two people. And the analogy I like to use is the McDonald's analogy. And I've used this for many years, and people who know me personally, I've said this to them a few times. And if you think of someone like Gordon Ramsay, right? Let's say Gordon Ramsay, if you don't know, is a very famous chef, and he's got Michelin stars and all that kind of thing. He's got multiple Michelin star restaurants, and the man's a millionaire. So good for him. And then, so what he'll do is obviously spend a lot of time thinking about food, how to make food amazing, and really concentrate and try and get like other people to come in and say how amazing the food is. And he's catering for a very specific clientele of people who care about high-end food, right? So then you've got someone like McDonald's. Now, McDonald's is okay food. The reason why it does so well is because it's fairly cheap. Everyone can pretty much afford it. And it's consistent. It's consistent across the board. Like, it's consistently good, bad, whatever you think it is, it's consistent. When you go for a Big Mac in Scotland versus London versus Sydney versus America, like, you're pretty much getting the same thing. And so it's consistency and the price that makes it so appealable to so many people. And because it actually appeals to so many people, not just Michelin star kind of people, McDonald's are on the stock market. And last time I checked, nothing of Gordon Ramsay's is. So obviously I've got no issues with any of those people. I'm just saying that this is a way to think about things. And so what you're actually looking at is, how do you make a difference to lots and lots of people rather than one or two people? And so people will often get really focused on the idea that when you do private work, you have to be the best of the best, right? And when you do private work, you're only treating the best of the best, which is true and not true, right? You don't have to be the best of the best. Oh, here we go. Here's a tunnel. Sorry about this. I'll be back in just a second. And we're back. So you have to be the best of the best. Like, actually, it's more about who you know and how you can market yourself. But the point is that you don't have to be the best of the best. And even if you were, let's say, the best of the best, and you want to only help the best of the best, you'll be helping Ronaldo's, some other big footballer that's out there right now. There's only so many of those people around, right? So, well, you actually really, if you want to, if the point in you asking the question about is there private work, is there money, then actually money is based on where most of the work is. And most subspecialties will have private work. Well, let's say you did something obscure like MRIs of epileptic patients due to a lesion that is located with this part of the brain. There will be private work somewhere along that line, because there will be someone out there with that particular problem that will seek you out, that will give you that private work and do that work. But in reality, there's a lot of people who just have headaches. They just have headaches and get scanned. There's swathes of scans out there of people who just got headaches. There's nothing special about the scan. There's loads of scans to do. So that's a kind of similar position to the way that I look at things. And that I do musculoskeletal radiology. And a part of it was, yes, I was interested in musculoskeletal radiology, which certainly made things easier. But there's loads and loads of musculoskeletal work. In the beginning, when I went into it, I was thinking, yeah, I want to be a Premiership footballer person who does like injections and ultrasounds for these kind of people. But actually, there are more kind of older people and weekend warriors with shoulder problems and knee problems than there are elite footballers. So even if you get paid a lot less per scan that you do, you end up making a lot of money, like a lot of money. And so the next thing about private work, and the reason why I think it's something to think about as to whether you want to do it in the first place, is first off, private work is not the only way to make money. For those of you that do follow me and do know me on multiple social media platforms and stuff, and I've been very open about it, I don't just make money doing radiology. I make money doing talks. I do make money doing social media engagements. I make money doing lectures. I run my own lecturing business. I have other investments. I've got other things going on, right? And so if it's money you're after, then there are other ways outside of medicine that you can make money. And even using the medical background that you have, you can make money by doing consultancy work and that kind of thing as well. So if money is your motivating factor, then just be rest assured that there are other ways to make money, and it's not just about private work. It's not just about private work. Now, the other thing about private work that you should be aware of, and that's something I've come to realize, is that when you're doing private work, especially for high-end clients, they've got a certain expectation about them. They expect things to be done in a specific way. And private work doesn't mean better work, right? It just looks better. Like everything about it feels better. So they'll turn up to a nice clinic. They get a really nice meal. They sit in a nice looking hotel-ish looking room with like nice showers and all that kind of stuff. And everyone's very nice to them and well dressed and everything's really clean and pristine, right? But the actual care is the same as anything else, really. And it's the same kind of analogy I'd use for, let's say, a cashmere jumper. I don't have a cashmere jumper, but let's say you had a cashmere jumper. At some point, that cashmere jumper will only get so good. So how do you upscale that? How do you make that same cashmere jumper worth more? And the way you do that is by putting a label on it, right? For YSL, for Versace, or Hugo Boss, onto that. And all of a sudden, that cashmere jumper that can only be so good is worth more money than any other cashmere jumper without that logo. And so what you realize, that's the same with a lot of private work, because a lot of the private work being done is being done by the people that are already in the NHS doing NHS work. Now, private work is really cutthroat. Like I do a little bit here and there, only to really help a few people out, but I don't really, it's not my primary goal. And if I lose the private work, it doesn't make a huge difference to my life. And so I guess I'm not like tied down to it. But if someone is, let's say, pulling a lot of money in from private work every single day, and believe me, yeah, you'd be surprised at how much money someone can make in the private sector. And I've seen some of like my colleagues and people who are senior to me, you do a lot of it. When you turn up the numbers, you think, wow, that is astronomical amount of money to be making like in a week. But there is a downside. Like when there's that much money sitting around, what happens is that people will start to vie for it and people start to fight for it. They start doing really weird things. So you can already imagine that the kind of individual and the kind of individuals that may be involved in private work, they may be quite cutthroat, because at the end of the day, no one in that kind of field is just going to give you money for no reason, right? If they've got this much money coming in, they're not going to be like, hey, yeah, you just come in and take whatever money you want, and it doesn't make a problem to me. If you take a session from them, then it means that their bottom line will be affected because they won't get as much money as they used to. So it's really important to understand that it is really quite cutthroat, and people can be really mean, and they can be really mean to each other. And this all down to money. And I'm not saying everyone's mean, but all you need is that one person to have that inclination to make things difficult, to try and go that little bit further and take work from you. If you got like a regular session, let's say Monday to Wednesday, you are doing private work in central London, and then you want to go on holiday, who's going to cover that work? And so I also know, allegedly, of a consultant who didn't actually go on holiday for 3 decades. And both their wife and him, they both did the private sector work, and they both did the same work, and they would alternate between each other. But they could never go on holiday together, because if they went on holiday together, it would mean some other person would go in, take that session, and potentially take their private work away. And that what became their livelihood. If you're reliant on these things, then you become a slave to those particular things. So what ends up happening to people who do private work is that, or a lot of private work, it starts to own them. And there's a line in Fight Club where it says the things that you own will end up owning you. And it's the same as private work. The private work that you have will end up owning you, because eventually you'll be in a situation where you're so reliant on private work that you have to go do it, and you can't take annual leave. And if you take annual leave, you've got to get someone that you really 100% trust to not try and swipe it from you when they come in and do something or undercut you or something like that. And so the thing is, yes, there is private work, right? There's private work in everything. Is there private work in musculoskeletal radiology? Yes, there is, but more based on the fact that there's loads of musculoskeletal radiology work going out there. But what I would implore everyone to do, as always, is think about what the bigger picture is. Where do you want to be, and why do you want to do what you do? What do you think private work is going to get you, and how much you're willing to give up for it? Because there's always some sort of like cost that is associated with this kind of thing. And I hope that's a useful video. I feel like I hope I've given a bit of perspective, right? And the thing is, I can't give you numbers, like I can't give you raw numbers, but just trust me. Let's just say there's a lot of challenges and a lot of challenging people out there when you go into that. So even if you were in a field where there's lots of private work, you may need to ask yourself whether this is a game that you really want to play. Right. Time for me to finish. Thank you so much. As always, do like and subscribe. Do share these videos with someone that you don't like. Maybe they become someone that you do like. And until next time, thank you so much. I appreciate everything. Bye.